That's what's up.
Yeah,
We're
buddy.
back.
Yeah, man.
I'm Jared, by the way.
I'm Josh. Good
What's
to be here,
going
brother.
on?
What's shaking, baby?
Man, I had to check in with Raw
Oh, yeah, we had to see the...
just for the one segment, and I was just certain that they were going to put it on in the beginning, but no, they made you wait 2 or 3 in. It's like, fine.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
So, Mean Gene, passed away, and that was an excuse to shoehorn Hulk back in and him come out and make it all about him. So,
Yeah, I was really actually... I thought he was going to say Hulkamania at the end. I was surprised that he remembered to say Mean Gene-omania. Good for you, man.
oh wait,
Don't worry.
I was gonna tear this shirt, but it's the only one I got.
It's only one ever.
Yeah, I'm gonna save that one up.
For real, it'll be worth something. I'll put it on eBay in 2 years.
But I mean, every
Brooks'
tweet,
new single.
Okerlund fever, and every tweet and every podcast had nothing but good stories to talk about Gene, and which was one of the things that made it so weird when they played the part of his Hall of Fame speech when he gets to the end and he does this whole Bobby Knight quote about
Yeah.
burying him face down.
I always thought
as
that was-
critics. It's always seemed kind of weird. Like, who has a bad thing to say about Mean Gene?
Yeah, I never understood that either. I was wondering if he just, from hanging out with Heenan, he became an Indiana fan and just like
Yeah.
Knight. Because that's Knight's quote. I mean,
Yeah.
it's famous, but he's the guy that is most famously attributed for saying it.
Yeah.
It's real funny actually to hear the audio of Bobby Knight saying that, and all the Indiana Wahoos getting all crazy behind him, and it's like, whoo, that didn't age well, did it? Being a
No.
Bobby Knight fan, yeah, hard to
No.
find those now.
No, sir.
Yeah, being a Bobby Knight fan now is going to be like finding Trump voters 10 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
People that actually voted for Donald Trump is going to be the opposite Woodstock, where like every single person that was on the planet, basically born from
I was there.
1947 to 1950 whatever, 51. And maybe later than that. Was at Woodstock. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, all 7 million people that were there.
Yeah. But man, and all you ever hear is good stories about
Yeah.
Gene, and the first time I remember even being like in close proximity of him was like Mania 27 was in town, and he came out still, holding court, and he at this time he was the guy that did most of the stuff in the ring at Access, doing the interviews and junk like that. So I was like, man, cool, and
Yeah.
he's still getting around and doing well.
That is cool.
And it's one of the problems with going to back-to-back Mania trips because they start to run together.
I can do that.
And anybody out there that's done it can, probably attest, or whatever your thing is that you go to every year. Is after a while, kind of like, was that this one or this one? But it was Orlando. I went down, and it was one of those access sessions where it was kind of like, man, there's nobody here. I might as well get in this line. 'Cause it was Jimmy Hart and it was Mean Gene, and I was complaining because that's, it feels like that's what you do in my head when I'm in line anywhere. Is I gotta.
It's a bunch
do
of
this.
crap.
The line was kind of not moving too well because they had the old buddy up there doing the photos for everybody, and they had him on the opposite end of the table, and like, man, just merge this into one and just, it'll go a lot easier. But anyway, it worked out because, got to have my little moment with Mean Gene, and that's one of the things that I said, like, as I'm kind of leaving, like, we've done the photo and getting up to go, and that's the word came out, announcer, because it's easier than saying you're one of the best wrestling interviewers I've ever. But I said you're still one of my favorite announcers, and everybody stories about Gene this week was talking about how quick he was, and you could tell he was ready with this response. That's because all the others are dead. So I was like, well, all right, but it was funny. 'Cause he laughed and I laughed. And he's like, no, I'm just kidding. But hit me with that quick Mean Gene response with the golden voice and everything. So I was like, man, so I can't say that nobody has that story like, oh, what a prick that guy was, and then you're not gonna hear that story coming from him.
I've never heard it either, man. Only, like you say, man, only positive stuff, and just, excuse me, tons of like compliments about the dude and his professionalism. But also, you made a great point about how Finkel is fantastic because like Ring Howard and normal voice Howard are so it's like Michael Buffer. They are fascinatingly different. Or Okerlund, that really is his all the time voice. Like golly, that is so cool to just live every day talking like that. That'd be fantastic.
How you doing?
909-9900.
If your waitresses, here I'll wait.
For real, man. That'd be awesome if you get Mean Gene to autograph with like the hotline number. Just get like an 8x10 of him with your old rotary phone. 1-900-909-9900.
Screw your phone bill.
That's right. Nobody cares.
Kids get permission. No.
Be a rebel. To hell with your I wish I could do a better Okerlund because it'd be funny to do the voice properly.
I'm supposed to tell you on this commercial, get your parents' permission. Don't.
That's right.
You go in your mom and dad's wallet, you lift about $20.
That's right. You get the money. To hell with your parents. You call Gene. That would be awesome, man. The corrupting influence of Mean Gene Okerlund.
Gino's got the wrestling news you need. Catch the main vein.
Come on, baby. Gene Okerlund, man, there's only stories about what a good guy he was, and that he's the one that taught me about credit card fraud.
Daddy needs his medicine.
For real. Oh, you get on the phone, man, and it's like minute 19 after your $4 a minute. It's the sweet stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I think it'd be awesome if after the first two things, it's Okerlund. Let's see. I can read you this menu. He just starts making stuff up to keep you on the phone. That'd be great.
What else we got?
Yeah, for real. Oh, by the way, coming up in minute 9, we'll talk about Sting.
For some reason.
You better hang around for that. Sting loves Mexican food. You know what he ordered last time?
Oh, yeah. One of the shows I was listening to, Conrad and Bruce were doing their send-off to Gene, and he made one of the points where he was like, well, if you're my age, or if you're 10 years younger than me, you're this. It's like, if you're my age, you kind of remember Gene with Hulkster and the WWF, but if you're 10 years younger than me, you kind of remember Gene with Ric Flair and WCW. He said, I'm both.
Yeah, man.
I love them both.
I've said before that we are, and I will stand by this statement, we are the most perfect wrestling generation of all time because we are old enough to genuinely remember Flair versus Dusty. I mean, that was like cutting your teeth stuff.
Yeah.
But with 7, 8, 9 years old, we loved that.
It was around.
Yeah, and then the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars were high school. We were like 16, 17, 18 years old then. It's amazing. And then now...
Mean Woo, by God, Gene made him new again.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah, it was like, the Hogan stuff was him in WWF, and they were still cool with NWO jump. But the NWO, they didn't have Okerlund around. It was just all 96 of them.
Yeah.
Watching, hey, what's Pac going to do this week? He's an idiot. Excuse me, good gracious. But yeah, the Flair stuff from WCW, man. I'm with you. It's both. I totally remember both, man. I do not remember him with like Vern. The AWA I just caught very, very rarely on the Pedicino show, and I remember watching Kurt Hennig wrestle a little bit there, but that was way after. So that stuff I don't remember, but I do like the pictures in the red sport coat and all that stuff is cool, man.
Man, it was just one of those kind of points that got brought up. I was like, if you want to believe that, go right ahead. But and we're similar ages, Conrad and me. I'm like, he might even be a year younger than me. But it's like I don't see it that way. I enjoyed both, and I don't think you are one or the other being. At this age. Maybe
it depends on where you're from. I don't know where he's from, but I do know that
Huntsville.
Yeah, see, that doesn't make any sense. And the reason I was going to say it is the Southern kids typically are not nearly as tribal about that junk. You get like the Sam Robertses of the world that will not acknowledge that anything that's ever been produced by WWF, it does not count. Nothing that's not WWF is even a thing, even now.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's ridiculous. Where I think, I don't know, I think part of it is, it's weird. I get in that conversation with college football versus pro football. If you're a college football fan, and we are, there's always that inferiority complex because the pros are the real, that's the end of it. That's the top level. I think, in my opinion, the NWA/WCW has always had the edge over Vince. Vince is much bigger and much more entertaining, but as far as wrestling, what I watched wrestling for, come on. There was never, when WWF's best ever lineup, which I think they have right now, to be honest with you, as far as how much talent they got, man, they can't hold a candle to 80s NWA. It's not even close. Not for what I like anyway.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's part of it is, hey, if it's not New York, doesn't count. If it doesn't count, it's not New York. I'm like, you know you're inferior. You know it's not as good as what we get down here, man.
And that's, and everybody was, even before, this wasn't long before he left, but he was there for the Tear in My Eye interview. And everybody points out right before it starts, there's this weird arbitrary, put that cigarette out. It makes you wonder how much of that was Gene actually telling somebody to do that, or just needing a quick non sequitur to be like, all right, now let's focus on this.
Yeah.
And I think he was that intelligent and good of a broadcaster to know when you need to put those in there.
Yeah, it leads me to a very weird story that we'll talk about. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but as far as things that you notice, I promise I'll make this quick and get back on it. There's the story going around that there was a lady that was in the process of, there was like an attempted kidnapping going on. And she runs away from this assailant and goes in a karate studio, and the guy follows her in there, and the story ends the way you think it would. And the first thing I thought when I read that story is, oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. The second thing I thought was, honestly, did this lady get away from this guy and run into a building that turned out to be a karate studio, or in that moment of being attacked and being just victimized, if you are that heady to keep that clear of a head to be like, yeah, that's where I'm going, that's amazing. I mean, it's a great story one way or the other because it's got a happy ending, but I'm like, I cannot imagine being under that kind of fire and thinking that clearly. That is awesome. What an unbelievable thing.
Everybody has those, tell you what I'd do.
Yeah.
Stories like, no, you wouldn't.
Every one of those stories is...
You wouldn't do shit.
Yeah, they all have the same answer, like genuine answer. Until you're there, you don't know. You're totally right. It's like there's no way that you can possibly know. You can think. I think it's totally okay to express what you think you would do and what you hope you would do, but you won't know until you actually have to know. So I'm like, I cannot believe that somebody was that smart. That's fantastic. I'm like, holy crap. Be like, oh, I got something for you.
Yeah.
That's great. That's cool. Anyway, one way or the other, the story ends well. But you're talking about awareness, just quickness, like that's just awesome. Anyway, sorry I had to get that story in there because that was a real cool story.
Man, that's pretty much the long and short of, big ups to Mean Gene.
Yeah, Gene was in the ring when Rick fought the coat, wasn't he?
I'm
pretty sure he was interviewing him for there. I think the handcuffing himself to the rope was just Rick interviewing himself, but I'm pretty sure that for the clothes brawl. Yeah, I love. We've had an idea for the longest that Ric Flair and Jay Lethal should be in a tuxedo match, but it's how quickly you can get your own tuxedo off and who pins their own clothes first. That'd be awesome, man. Sport coat, elbow drop-a-thon. That would be awesome. You have to get your own sports coat off and pin it before the other guy breaks it up. That'd be awesome.
That's the ultimate triple threat.
Jay Lethal, Ric Flair, sports coat.
Man, not only did we lose Mean Gene this past week, there was also another Einstein brother that left us, Marty Funkhauser.
Yeah, man.
Left to Super Dave. So, man, if you're a Curb Your Enthusiasm fan, or before that, Super Dave, I mean, that was kind of a crappy news to hear.
This is Gene Okerlund in WWF versus Gene Okerlund in WCW, man. As kids, he was Super Dave, and now he's Bam Bam Funkhauser's older big brother. Yep. So, yeah, Super Dave Funkhauser, it will be missed.
Heck yeah, man.
For real, dude.
So that's what's up. And I got to see the Access version of Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, man.
And I freaking dug it. I like the way they did it. I like to get and see it on the Friday, but I was kind of like, I gotta wait a whole nother week. But I was able to track down some of it on Daily Motion. I saw the Jay White and match. So that it's out there, but it's harder to track down than I think it should be.
Yeah, I can dig it, man. I did the same thing, watched the Access version. Was telling the man it was my first exposure to the Kevin Kelly, Don Callis announcer team. And it's probably just me because I'm a jerk about that stuff. monstrously underwhelmed. I could not state, and I'm starting there because I want to get the negative crap out of the way first. Because I'm with the Cody. I thought it was funny they put Cody and Juice Robinson in the match that is routinely panned as the worst thing all day, but it's Cody. He used to be in WWE. People know who he is. I get it. You know, that whole thing of putting your stars on television, like we suggested they should have done with the Stephen Amell match for the All-In pre-show.
Yeah.
Then the Young Bucks can actually get 20 minutes back on their match. It's silly, but I still think that's where it is. People still want to blame Okada and Marty Scurll. If you say so, but I'm telling you, that Stephen Amell crap and the Joey Ryan stuff, you eliminate that, cut it down shorter.
Plenty of time.
Give me matches. Give me matches, man. But yeah, I enjoyed that. I thought it was cool. Naito Jericho, I'm very glad that Naito and Jericho are done because I appreciate Chris Jericho doing basically stealing CM Punk's dates. The entire world has offered you dates, and if you don't want them, that's okay. But I'm glad somebody else is getting them. Yeah. And to be blunt, like we talked about, man, I thought that for me personally, All In, it's not that, Punk had to be at All In or now he can't do anything. It's just that I don't care anymore. I thought that would have worked.
The time was right.
And I would have cared.
The iron was hot and you didn't strike.
I would have cared, but you turned that down. Jericho didn't. And that's the whole thing also as far as this guy that just keeps showing up in different places to stoke the fires and all that junk. I think as wrestling fans, I think we are better off that it was Chris Jericho. This Punk's fine. There's nothing wrong with him, but Jericho's historically fantastic. And on that same note, with him talking about wanting to stick in New Japan for a minute and get an IWGP shot, I love that. I love the idea of him and Tanahashi. I hate that Tanahashi and Jay White's been booked so quickly because it's not to say that, you know, if they wrestle 6 months from now, well, Jay White's clearly going to win. I don't think he'll be ready in 6 months, but I darn sure don't think he's ready now. I am sorry. I'm very sorry about that, y'all. But I think it's delicious. It's fantastic. You got this thing called Mexican food. Mean Gene's Mexican food. Hotline, baby. I just think that if you are but with booking them now, man, he probably isn't going to win it in 6 months. You tell him the whole world ain't going to win right now, and it's just like, that's kind of silly. But it's all good. I just, if you want to give the belt, and this is not a suggestion. I don't have any belief that Jay's going to get it. But if you wanted Jay White to win the belt, why don't you have him beat Omega for it? Yeah. If you wanted, I love the Tanahashi Chris Jericho, basically placeholder. But I like it because it's a really genuine, two fantastic generational stars. They're both legends. They've been legends. They've been fantastic for a long time. It'll be a really cool special attraction championship match. That's real cool. I like that idea, and I hope they do. I was telling Jared, man, that obviously
now it'd be too much of a hot shot.
It's God, you do the potato jump by throwing the thing all around. It's just, I mean, people jumped all over the Dutch guy taking over New Japan because I have my own theory about it. I think that one of the things
Dutch Hater?
Cody, Dutch Hater, exactly. Cody, the Bucks, Kenny Omega, people, whether they can admit it or not, there are a lot of people that are suffering from what I call elite fatigue. And I know I'm there, but that's how come I just stay away, because it's like, I probably told you guys this story before. When Dark Knight first came out, I got so tired of hearing about it. I knew that I was going to be a jerk and dig my heels in and be like, it wasn't that good, because I'm a jerk, and I would have done that, and I didn't want to. So what I did was I just waited until I was ready to watch it. It was almost 2 years after it came out, but I really liked it. Same thing, man. Once I watch Cody, watch the Bucks, and even to a lesser degree Kenny Omega, and I'm not feeling it anymore, it's like, you know what you should do? You tape these off Access, just, look in the lineups and see who's on. And if you ain't feeling it, don't watch them, because those are going to be, they're great. And it's like, just wait till you're in a mood to be fair about it. So that's kind of where I was at. Speaking of which, I'm sorry, I will get back to the show. I thought that Jericho Naito was okay, but it's not that it was really good. It's just that's not necessarily my style of match. I like both those guys. I love Tetsuya Naito. I'm glad he got his belt back. It was a great change of pace for the card because it is a street fight, and that's neat. That being the case with the Kenny Omega match, having tables and whatnot, the Naito match is kind of devolving into press conference fights and stuff like that. It's easy to think, it's because Jericho can't do anything but gimmick matches, and that's okay if he can't. But I also think he's probably got enough tread left on the tire for one more really serious go-round, strong style pro wrestling match. And it's like, who better to have it with? That'd be a great way for them to do that. I would love that. So I would love to see those two guys go at it, get the old Jericho. And new Jericho's great too, but it's just like, I think that would be effing awesome.
Heck yeah.
I hope they do it.
It'd be tight.
Yeah, man. And that's just the co-main event, because the main event with Kenny, it was just, I hope I didn't sound like I was trashing Kenny a moment ago, because with Kenny, I'm touch and go. Some of the stuff I really like, some of it might not do it for me. He's great no matter what. I've never seen him have a match I didn't think was good. It's just more good. It just depends on where I'm at.
Yeah.
But I thought he and Tanahashi were fantastic. They were. We were discussing the going through the high spots of former IWGP champions, particularly ones that are associated with Tanahashi, because he was trained by Muta and Muta was trained by Fujinami, and so you have like the Dragon Suplex reference was very cool because Tanahashi hit that real pretty one, and then Kenny's got the Snapdragon. You've got the Dragon Screw that Tanahashi throws all the time. You've got the flashing elbow, the Muta style elbow. And it's weird too, man, because Kenny Omega's got that strange athleticism, that weird agility, and just very unique athlete package among pro wrestlers that's probably the most unique I've seen since Muta. Excuse me, so it's very cool to see him throw a Muta move, and it's as good as anybody not named Keiji Muto can do it, and it's still like, Muta's God. He's just God, man. But it was cool. It was very cool. And there was another one. Oh, yeah. Tanahashi busting out the Styles Clash.
Yeah, that was tight.
Yeah, clear Bullet Club reference, and clear. The fans got it immediately. It was like, oh, this is the guy that kicked AJ out of the Bullet Club.
Yeah.
How does that feel, jerk? it was neat. It was, yeah, Canadian so-and-so. Yeah, hoser. God. The idea of Japanese wrestling crowds knowing like Canadian vernacular, that sounds cool. Anyway, I've jumped all over this, but I'm with you. I really liked what I got to see. I'm very excited. I understand that most of the rest of the matches are super condensed. They're like really, really short, which is okay. That's all right. But I'm happy that, obviously I'm happy being an LIJ freak. I absolutely love the belt stack. I like that everybody's got something now. I love, love, love that Bushi and Shingo are the junior tag champs, because, excuse me, those belts have languished a little bit since the Bucks decided, we want the heavyweight tag championships. And New Japan's reply was, well, hit the buffet.
Yep.
But, and I wish it wasn't like that, but it's like that. They have the open weight division for a reason. So, and it's cool. It wound up being good. Everybody won. I don't understand the point of taking the tag titles off of LIJ. I still don't. But you know what? They've won them twice now. So that's always a good ending when your team loses and they win them back.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I'm looking forward to that. I've only seen one spot from that match, and it's basically Evil just doing planches on everybody else in the match. It's pretty cool. It's like, good Lord, because he winds up flying out on Tama Tonga, and then I don't know what happens, but it's like when he gets back in the ring, like Matt Jackson's waiting for him, and he winds up checking him out and goes over and gets him, and then Nick comes over to help his brother, winds up outside, and he goes and gets him. It's like, man, they only had 10 minutes to do this. They going Bubba Ray on it, man. They getting their mess in. And there's something that
I heard how good the Ospreay and Okada match was, or Ibushi match. I mean,
I had bad about.
I get them mixed up. But the only thing I was able to find was a highlight reel, and it makes me want to see the rest of it, because it's, I wasn't ready to call it the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
But and that's the other thing that makes me kind of wonder, when you see the Access version, that makes you wonder, okay, is this in sequence, or was it kind of one? Did this come earlier or later? But it doesn't really matter.
I think they've chopped it up, because I think as far as like seeing what the reference was, it seems to me that and I could be wrong, but it seems like it was Cody and Juice, and then there was something else, and then like the last three were Jay and Okada, and then Jericho, and then Omega Tanahashi. So I think they just chop it up for the time constraints, and also, I mean, got to have something good on every week, so I understand that. I just hope that I'm pretty sure that the junior tag title match will get like just the highlight treatment. And that's okay. Whatever they'll give me, I'll take. It's cool, because one of these days I will sign up for New Japan World, but it is not this day. So that being the case, whatever they give me, I'm happy with. There was something else And I cannot remember now what the heck it was. But I think we covered it. It seems like we've hit all the... it was a Zack Sabre and Ishii match, which we were discussing that, man, that I saw a lot of predictions going both ways on that, and I just don't understand the idea. I love Ishii. Tomohiro Ishii is awesome, but it's a British heavyweight championship. I can't understand why it was so difficult to think that Zack Sabre, who they are into, boy, I don't care for Zack Sabre because it's just him doing Suzuki, and Minoru Suzuki is... It's like someone trying to play piano like Thelonious Monk. Suzuki can make it work, but it's not for everybody. And Suzuki no selling because he's crazy makes a lot more sense than Zack Sabre not selling because why is Zack Sabre not selling? You know what I mean?
Because that's not what I do.
Yeah, seriously. But there was the picture I saw earlier today of him back with the Rev Pro belt doing, I don't know if it was an open challenge or just talking crap, but apparently Pac showed up. So I'm like, I bet that was good for a nice little... roof rattler. That's cool. I like it, man. Excuse me.
So now that that's done, you get all these rumors about where's everybody going.
What number's Kenny gonna be in the Royal Rumble?
They're gonna keep with tradition and give him the AJ Styles number 3. I'm calling it.
Calling it. I was telling the man, I saw a little report right before we got on that, guys, it's just a rumor, but I've heard he's turned it down. And it's like, man, let's have fun with this.
Of course, that's what you're going to hear. We've still got a ways to go before we get to the Rumble.
Yeah, let's have fun, man. Let everybody have a good time with it. And we were discussing this earlier, man, because I think, I've seen several people say this, and I completely agree with them. I think WWE makes more sense than AEW right now, only in the sense that if it's not a lack of people to work with, because this is something that goes back to, we've discussed it before, people that worship at the altar of Kenneth Omega have kind of talked mad junk about his IWGP run. I'm like, well, I think maybe you're admitting to yourself, whether you know you're admitting it or not, that he's out of people to wrestle. We talked about it, man. It can't be him and Okada forever. Yeah. Primarily because A, you can't keep topping that, and B, I don't want these dudes wrestling for 90 minutes and dying. Yeah. So let them go in other ways, man. So as far as like walking into a company with tons of people to work with, why not? I think it's okay. We talked about that. I know AJ is like top of the list for most people, and I totally agree. That's top of my list too. Nakamura would be a blast. That'd be too much. But as long as Kenny's up for one more head knocking and like really going at it, that would be a lot of fun. But I hope that Kenny, if actually leaving New Japan is real and everything I've seen says it is, and that's totally okay because, again, I mean, geez, he's wrestled everybody more than once. Yeah. It's totally good.
It'd be good. It's that old adage that Jim Cornette trots out. It's like, you can't miss me if I don't go away.
It's the truth. I mean, why did guys switch promotions back in the day? Or territories. Wrestle new guys.
Mix it up.
Yeah, I think it's totally cool.
This is the right time to do it.
Yeah. Now, I do love that all of a sudden we have apparently people that were supremely against the idea, he's not a big star here. He's going to have to go to NXT first. Yeah, everybody's gotten off that wagon real quick, hasn't they? So, I like the idea of it. We'll wait and see. Surely to God they won't make him work with Shane, but the big three, the big three I keep seeing are Seth Rollins and Bryan Danielson, who, if you watch the show, I ain't got no time for Bryan. I didn't like Bryan Danielson when he was in Ring of Honor, so it's like, if you guys say so. But him and Seth Rollins and AJ, and I'm still on Cloud Nakamura because I would love to see them go at each other. But people go and people come and people staying, like we talk about. It's all good. Everything is cool when people want to go, people want to stay. I am a little, I shouldn't say nervous. I do hope that Tetsuya Naito stays in New Japan forever. And I think that was just, we talked about it, man. I'm sure that rumor was going around a couple of weeks ago that he re-signed. I would have sworn to you, I saw news multiple places that he was approached by WWE, which who's not? They approach everybody. That's totally okay. And he wasn't feeling it. And also, when you have everybody at Being the Elite go out on January 1st or whenever it was and tell the whole wide world we're starting our own company 3 days before New Japan's big show, and then all of you lose spectacularly.
Kind of a tip of the cap.
Yeah, pretty sure it's like,
down.
yeah, bye. There's the door. Have fun, guys. And it's cool because honestly, with the exception of Kenny, do you remember any match any of those guys have had in New Japan? I mean, I think the most memorable stuff that Marty's done is with Ospreay, and that's great they got those in New Japan, but they could have done that in Rev Pro. They could have done that anywhere in England. That's why they were so good by the time they got to New Japan is they knew each other. So all that stuff is fine, man. Cody, everybody despises Cody's work. Everyone hates Cody's work. Yeah. Cody's work doesn't bother me. I've never was a huge fan of Elizabeth or outside interference, and I just don't need Brandy Rhodes shoehorned into every single. At least find a creative way to do it.
That makes it tough.
It gets old, man. It's like, come up with something new. If you've got to do this, come up with a new way to do it. And all the stuff in that match was just like straight out of the Maria Kanellis playbook. It all looked so much like the stuff that she used to do, with the difference being that all the stuff between her and Carl Anderson was funny. That was really funny. How the guys would have to go and talk him out of being hypnotized, which is dumb because I say I don't care for the Elizabeth stuff, and it was just a very modern reinterpretation of Georgie Animal Steel, but it was funny. Carl Anderson is a little like, yeah, baby, all that stuff was funny, man.
It's hard to call him more charismatic than George, but more charismatic.
It's a little different. It was less King Kong and more keep it in your pants, Carl. It was funny, man. They did some good stuff with that.
And with it being Maria, like, that's very believable.
Yeah, Maria Kanellis.
I was never into Elizabeth the way some dudes were.
No, me neither. I was too afraid of Randy to be into Elizabeth.
Well, that's true too.
Nah, I'm just, that was.
But you want to talk about a like kind of vibe I got from her? Like, I mean, I just wasn't into it. It's like,
yeah, me neither. I can dig that.
Are you with us?
Yeah, man. It's like we talk about it, man. It's like the as far as
I've already went down the Blue Lagoon.
talking about like being able to understand Carl Anderson not being able to put Maria Kanellis down, man. It's just, this will be quick.
Very believable.
Oh, absolutely. Exactly. This will be quick, man. We were just discussing lately the movie that most recently has taken my life over was the I think it's Jonathan Glazer did the movie Under the Skin, and he cast Scarlett Johansson, and the whole point is supposed to be that Scarlett Johansson basically, and I don't want to tell you too much about it because it's a very fun movie to turn on, not knowing what to expect and just letting it do what it does. Yeah. But it's supposed to be kind of this meditation on the mindset of a predator, like a genuine like predator, like that goes out and hunts to survive. And in the play, it's supposed to be just this overwhelmingly attractive human woman that dudes can't say no to. And I'm like, good job with that casting, because I don't know any straight dude. I don't know any lesbian girl. I don't know anybody that crosses the streams. I don't know anybody that is like, I don't know any straight girls or, gay guys that would be like, I don't get it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, it's just like, oh, Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, I can see that guy going off into that creepy place. Yeah, it's Scarlett Johansson, Same thing. Maria Kanellis, like, Carl being hypnotized, like, I feel bad for you, brother. I understand. Devil woman got you snared. It's like you can't help me. Yeah, for real, man.
Kids at the house.
But for the brother, but for the grace of God. How in the world did we get to this?
I don't know.
But it works. And it's all good. And I don't mean to be mean to Brandy, because I think...
And that's what I'm talking about with Brandy, too, because it's really believable, because, like, if you got a smoking hot wife, you got to want her on TV, but have it make sense and not be so forced.
Yeah, that's my thing, is I really like them, and I like the two of them working together. I like the idea of just switching it up a little bit, man. Yeah. Just every once in a while. That'll be all right, man.
Yeah. Learn to work. Learn to hold.
Yeah, learn to work. Scott Hall's a hell of a worker. I'm sorry, I almost said Kevin Nash is a hell of a worker. Ricky Morton would have come in that door and punched me in the face if I said, I would just shut up, my boy.
Just fly from the door.
Just like straight double drop kick. Him and Robert come flying across the room. Oh no!
No, Daddy, no.
No one expects the Rock and Roll Express, baby. They come diving out of the. We just went from Carl Anderson to the Rock and Roll Express. That is the greatest unintentional tribute to Carl Anderson of all time. That worked out great, man.
See, it all makes sense, kids. Gather around.
It does. It's very cool, man.
One show coming up. Don't have a clue about it. Saw the ad tonight, and I thought, now I've got to watch NXT Blackpool.
Man.
And the coolest thing about the town of Blackpool is the way I've heard it described is it just sounds cool. So a lot of people are like, from Blackpool. It's essentially England's Las Vegas is how I've heard it described. So
cool.
That makes it sound a little bit even cooler than me describing it that way. But this is the show that the rumors of Walter showing up maybe will happen, maybe it won't. But it's Pete Dunne versus Joe Coffey, I think's the name.
I am very much with you in that I don't know anything about
It's
it.
coffee.
Except that I saw the ad and I'm like, yes. Because
I'm
like I said,
checking it out.
yeah, man, like not following the weeklies. It's one of my favorite things about NXT, man, is we get together and watch the pay-per-views and see 4 NXT shows a year, and I love it. So I'm trying to do that a bit more with be selective and just watch the big stuff. It's why I don't want to say it's why New Japan World bothers me, because I'll have a blast with that just watching the old stuff. But I have to get like the discipline and be like, okay, you can watch this and this and this, and that'll be good. I think they have about 6 monster shows a year, man, tours, so you can watch everything, but just pick one. Pick the last date of the tour, and then I think I can make it work. It just might take me 3 years to figure it out.
That's one of the best things about it being on the network is, you're doing the math when there's like, okay, it's going to be 7 o'clock there, which puts it playing 2 o'clock here if you want to see it live, but I don't have to, even though I probably could be home Saturday at 2 o'clock to watch it. Like, if you don't have to, then why bother? I can go do something else. And so that's where I'll be with that one. It's like, I don't got to rush home and see it.
I'm the same way.
But so I'll see it later that evening.
Yeah, I was telling the man, I have such crazy streaming
I'll probably
issues.
rerunning it about that time anyway.
Yeah, seriously. I have weird streaming issues anyway, man. So if I just let it sit for a while when everyone's not jamming to get on, I tend to have a little bit better luck.
You know, that lunch after church rush, even though it's on Saturday, I don't get it. Just like that kind of do what it does. And even while it's playing live, you can start it from the beginning, but if you don't have to, then I'll check it out at 7 o'clock on Saturday, like God intended.
Yeah, like God intended. As a buddy of mine used to like catch Game of Thrones like the day after, and it was all like, man, how can you stand having it spoiled for you? And he's like, if you turn off social media, it won't be. And it's like, the thing is, if you stream it a day later, there's no buffering. Nobody cares the next day. I'm like, yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Makes a big difference.
It does. It totally does, man. Just let that stuff sit, because we are. I definitely. We talk about it all the time, but I am definitely a physical media freak. I love that kind of stuff, and it's one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. The only time if I sit and watch a movie at my house that it pauses is when I hit that little button with the 2 little dashes on it. Man, that's it. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. It's like, man, if you break up the cocoon that you get with watching a story and it just stops, and it's like buffering. It drives me nuts. Takes me right out of it, and that's a bummer, man. Like, oh, jerk.
The nozzle is calibrating.
Exactly, man.
The nozzle is still calibrating.
It's still calibrating. I was thinking about that. I was pumping gas the other day, and I got nozzle stuck in my head, man.
The nozzle.
Please pump gas through the nozzle.
If you have any idea what's going on still, then here's to you.
That reminds me, if you were talking about things you go to every year and they all run together, this was, I think, the first Dragon Con I went to. Might have been the second one, but this is my favorite thing that ever happened to me. I met a guy that was cosplaying as Randy Watson at the last one I went to, and that was awesome because he was super into it, and he was doing the voice, and he was having a blast.
My mate.
My other costume that I love, man, is somebody was walking around as the Grand Galactic Inquisitor.
Oh, yeah.
And it was awesome. It was like this 14-foot tall costume. It looked just like the animation. It was very, very cool. So I took it upon myself, dork idiot that I am, to walk past the Grand Galactic Inquisitor. And I don't remember what character it was that was basically his handler, but it was a second person that was like, okay, you're never going to be able to navigate in that thing. So they were leading him around.
Yeah.
And as you walk by the Grand Galactic Inquisitor, just do this to let him know that you're ignoring him. But yeah, I did that like real quick. And I don't remember what character it was, but it about choked the person that was leading him. I was glad that they got a kick out of that because I had a lot of fun doing it. But you just have to ignore the Grand Galactic Inquisitor. If you're a Venture Brothers fan and you like the Grand Galactic Inquisitor, it's something about characters that yell, because the Grand Galactic Inquisitor and Mr. Meeseeks doing like a talk show would be like, that would be my favorite television show of all time, just yelling at each other back and forth. Oh man, I want that to happen now.
To work on that.
Yeah, seriously.
Can do.
Is he keeping his arms straight? The idea of bringing in the second Mr. Meeseeks to help Jerry with his swing, and it starts right where the first one started. It's all the exact same in fives. Oh yeah, I can do. I try to yell Mr. Meeseeks quotes if I get angry in traffic, because it makes me feel better. If you don't get mad, if you just scream like Mr. Meeseeks, you're usually saying something positive, and it makes you feel better. I don't remember what else I think that might be it. Shucks, man, it seemed like there was one other thing that we was going to discuss, and I don't remember it at all because we don't write nothing down. Why would we start now, man?
I don't do that.
I think we got it. I think we got it.
Don't fact check. Don't show prep. Don't write anything down. Screw the national title game.
Oh God! If you've seen the show, y'all know that. I'm just still happy to say that my college football playoff cherry is still intact, because I've never watched any of the games. Don't intend to start this year.
My bother.
Yeah, it's not my thing, man. I love the conference championship format, and then after that, I really am done. And this year in particular, because one of my problems this year was there's usually some like lesser bowl games that are kind of fun. Like you get like the MAC champ and the
a bunch of flat stuff.
The Sun Belt champ, and that's cool. I like all that stuff. But this year, it's gotten the thing that has ruined college football. I've picked on ESPN for this for years, but now it's not just them. It's the basic, what's the word I'm looking for, man? The corporate tribalism of college football, where SEC, ACC, that's ESPN. Excuse me, Pac-12, Big Ten, that's Fox. And dude, you got those New Year's Day bowl games, like the Red Box Bowl or the whatever bowl in Lonnie Dot, and they all sucked. And it was literally one Big Ten school versus one Pac-12 school, and it was Fox just running games all day just to get their commercial out there. It was awful, man. I just like, this is so stupid, and it's because you're not getting SEC schools on Fox. You are not getting Big Ten schools on ESPN, which you do, but it's never like, it's not like that. And it just sucks so bad that instead of having a contract to run college football, you are running Atlantic Coast Conference college football. You're running Big 12 college football or Pac-12. It's just so pathetic how they've all divided up. And ultimately, like we've said, if you would just contract the league, if Fox would just take the Big 10 and the Pac-12 and leave the NCAA, take the Rose Bowl with you, everything would be great. You could really make it very, very cool. Now, if they leave the NCAA, the SEC better follow suit, because leaving the NCAA means you can pay kids. And the Pac-12 schools and the Big Ten schools are a lot more likely to do it than the ones here are. I'm not saying they won't do it. Eventually, I think they're going to have to do it. But basically, the days of eating for free and having a baseball minor league farm system that you pay nothing for, it's got to be dwindling. You just can't do that, man, because basically guys get hurt way too early. Their careers are over too quick. And you've just been, you've had your nose stuck in the trough for 70 years now, man. Somebody's going to come along and yank you up. That's how it's going to go. But I just hope that if you get the AFL, NFL split, maybe someday you'll get the champs to play each other. But at the same time, man, if the Big Ten and the Pac-12 are paying people and the SEC and the ACC aren't, you don't want them to play each other, because that's going to get ugly real quick. Because my example I always use is Mr. Florida football, who was born on the 50-yard line at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. I think that's Florida. Yeah, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium in Gainesville.
Swamp.
If they offer him a paycheck to be a freaking Oregon State Beaver, he gonna be an Oregon State Beaver. That junk drives me nuts. But seriously, it's like you're not gonna go play for Pride for free for the University of Florida if someone's gonna give you a check to do it in Corvallis.
Yeah.
Simple as that. But everything would be so much better as far as well, I just think the kids in college should play for Pride. All right, then. Have a minor league system for the NFL and get all the top players out of there. Then you'll have a team full of prideful little Rudies, and the quality of play will turn to crap, and then you'll all complain about it. But it just stop. You can't have it both ways. You can't have the proud amateur who's out there to win one for the old team. That's right, man. Let's win that old conference now. It doesn't work that way. Not anymore. Not when there's that kind of money involved. Anyway, I got way sidetracked, man. But college football is easy to fix. There's multiple ways to fix it. And, I mean, the 8-team playoff, everybody's actually talking about it. It's hilarious. Yeah, hilarious how that went from hey, guys, you're just going to have to live with the 4-team playoff because it's the contract. That's the contract. Now, all of a sudden, ESPN wants to roll their eyes about, hey, guys, it's going to happen one way or the other. I know. We've been telling y'all. For a long time. If your playoffs aren't, and that's the whole thing now, is everybody loves to trot out it's about quality of play. I mean, the semifinals were an indictment of going to an 8-team playoff. They were terrible. Yeah, they were, but nobody expands their playoff because they think teams are getting left out. You expand your playoff because you want more people to watch and get commercial revenue. It's the reason that it's got to be. Everybody says 8-team playoff is just double, it'll be fine. If you do not have conference championship tie-ins, you still blow it. Because you need the regional champs represented in that first round to get television sets across the country turned on. The other thing that no one wants to talk about is this. Alabama and Clemson are Clemson and Alabama because those checks clear the bank. There are people that say, it's because they got the Nike uniform. They get the Nikes. It's because the checks don't bounce. Yeah. And because that's the deal. SEC schools, ACC schools, you can go buck wild. It's the Wild West. They don't care. If you're never going to enforce rules, you just selectively enforce rules. It's very easy to rig the game. If you're telling me now that 8 teams get playoff spots, you're going to start seeing more top recruits go to. Why is Justin Fields leaving Georgia? Why did Justin Fields go to Georgia in the first place? They already had 3 quarterbacks. So now in 3 seasons, you've had the top quarterback prospect in the country transfer out of the University of Georgia. Why? Because the way it's set up now is like it was in the 60s and 70s, where 5 schools get everybody. And you go to camp, and you practice, and you play, and the coach picks which one he likes the best, and then everybody transfers. Yeah. You go to 8 playoffs, guys aren't transferring because they go more places, but you can't have that because you've got these 26 or however many it is schools under the house. You don't want more teams. See, back in the day, ESPN was great about making Memphis, and remember when Southern Miss was so good? Yeah. It's because they played on Wednesday and Thursday night football. At the time, ESPN was much more interested in having the product. It was about, man, how many good college football teams can we put on television? So you started seeing really good talent go other places and play. T.Y. Hilton, that unbelievable receiver for the Colts, he's an FIU Panther, man. Yeah. And that's why Florida kid knew he was going to get on TV. It did not matter. But having set up the system to know how to make that work, you can undo it too. But the problem with undoing it is fewer and fewer and fewer eyeballs, man. It's a bad business model to. I just hate the exclusivity, especially if you're not going to make the SEC and the ACC a league. What are you doing? If you're not making that a league, you're just messing up. Yeah, man. This was supposed to be over like 8 minutes ago. Sorry, man.
Man, y'all be cool.
Have a good one. Y'all take it easy.